So like knowing of those services, which one have a higher ADL, knowing of those services, which ones have a higher profit margin, which ones have a faster turnover, which ones like there's so much more like to that economy that you can calculate out if you're actually tracking that data. And then to your point before, the first year you do it, it will be a mess, right? But
Mhm.
every year you don't do it is another year you don't have that weapon like for the future. Like that data is so useful.
Yeah. And it fuels decisions through multiple market cycles, everything. It's so important. You got to start now.
Yeah. No, it's so true. It's interesting because you guys were kind of like tiptoeing around it, but Will, at the agency, we always hear, need more leads, and we're like, wait a second, because we think, coming from the industry, we're like, all right, we know how many sales reps you have, we know how many crews you have. What what is going on that we're not, privy to? And sometimes, the business owners can be guarded. And we understand that, but for our listeners, like, when someone's asking for more leads, what can actually be happening, behind the curtain that kind of plays in a little bit more, in regards to capacity or, operational deficiencies. That's where I think I'd love to kind of dive in a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand, like, if you need more leads, first off, when you say I need more leads, which we all need more leads, it's the food and the fuel of our companies. Okay. Do you need more leads because you're starving, or you need more leads because you need caloric intake because you're about to grow? Right.
Yeah, there you go.
And a lot of times what I'm finding is companies don't have a very good grasp on their gross profit margin and cost of goods sold, because when I hear a company say growing 2 to 4 million in a year, well, that growth came from somewhere. There's cost attached to all of that growth.
Hmm.
Well, the first place it comes out of is your gross profit margin. So if you are not efficient as a company, of course, all your cash is going to dry out. And the first thing you're going to go is, well, we need more leads coming in. So then that way we can sell ourselves into bankruptcy. It's a death rattle. So, for example, and just to simplify, because I love getting in arguments online about this. Okay. Home service. Yeah, we're going to go through your P&L super fast because people go margin, margin, margin. None of them know what it means. So let's break this down today. You have income, not selling a job, installed income,
Yes.
not selling the job. And I'm going to repeat it again, installed revenue, income. All right. Then we have materials, labor, sales commission, any subcontractor fees, and what I like to say, screw ups, you know,
Mhm.
and you got things attached to those like insurance, employee benefits to those employees. Anything you can directly invoice to Mrs. Johnson, that's direct overhead. Those are your cost of goods sold. When you cut a line underneath that, that's your gross profit margin. Whatever is left over after paying those expenses, that's your gross profit margin. And our industry standard is 50 to 54%. Some are higher, but we see companies saying they need more leads and they're at 30%. And that means there's no cash left over to pay
Right.
things. So we're going back to the beginning to play offense when really we got to stop letting the other team take our score away. Right? They keep getting pick sixes and all that stuff. So that's what I spend a lot of time focusing on, is getting that gross profit margin driven up, because then that helps ultimately with cash flow
Right.
and your accounts payable and things like that. So one of the things I help with a lot in that is, like I said, increase productivity. That's what performance.io does. But it also reduces labor. So you get a twofold improvement. You get more installed, which reduces your marketing spend.
Yep.
Yep.
Then you get reduced labor, which then improves the bottom line even more, i.e., your gross profit margin. Then you can pay for marketing, insurance, office staff, rent on the building, all of those things. Then you get a net operating margin. And that's where the confusion is gross margin, net operating margin, and net profit margin. There's actually three margins that a lot of people are not calculating in the business. And back before, when I said, like, if you can get this right, there's 6%. And I challenge you, not you two, but any listener out there, like, what would 6 cents out of every dollar going back into your pocket do for your personal wealth, your valuations for your companies, things like that do. Because when you frame it like that, it makes you stop and slow down and say, wow, I'm letting ego and growth get in the way of what could provide a lot of value in the market. And listen, we all as business owners, we got to make money and we should be making great money for taking the risks that we involve or take in every day. But I'm talking about real value. You get the wealth, the customers get to see the added value, the employees get to see the added value. Hell, I got 15 different employee benefits right now in my company. Profit does a good thing for everybody, including the owners. And this is where we have to work hard on the operations side to dial those numbers in because most of our industry, they just don't have anything to work off of. They just assume, let's go buy another truck. Well, I need more leads. Now I can't
Yeah.
keep up. Let me buy
Yeah.
another truck. And it's like, no, 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 you don't need any more trucks. You need to get more out of the trucks you have. And we're seeing across our industries, and I know you guys service a lot of companies, dollars a month is the standard going rate for install crews in the basement waterproofing foundation repair concrete leveling business. If you are below $120,000 a month, and I understand circumstances, there's something wrong. Either your pricing's messed up, you're not expecting enough out of your team, leadership is lacking in accountability, and ultimately you can shoo those under the rug or sweep them under the rug all you want. But ultimately what it's doing is you're just starving yourself for future growth. And
Yeah.
God forbid you take that growth and you funnel it into a credit line, which now you get interest on, and that's going to hit you again. So sorry to go
Mhm.
into a deep operational dive, but
Sure.
I'm passionate about this. And I love bringing this, shining a light on this with companies of like, let's just understand the numbers. And then now let's play the game to win, not
Yep.
play the game to just say, hey, I looked good. And it's
Mhm.
really
This is
important.
exactly why we wanted you on, Will. Anthony and I, we've been talking about this for a bit, and obviously, marketing and advertising strategy, great. We can talk about it all day. We can talk about, lead management all the way up to the point where you sold the job and then, it's handed off where, we don't have the experience and skill level to even speak on it is, really talking about margins and operations and what happens in production and, capacity and, allocation of resources and reinvestment. And, that's why I am so excited that you are literally taking us to church right now because everybody should be listening to what you are saying because if they're not aware of it right now, they're not tracking it, they haven't made note of it, they're really missing out. And, I feel obviously concerned for those businesses. So, you're not getting ridiculed. And just like you were saying, I know that there's some keyboard commandos out there that, will chase Will down, but
Yeah, bring them on, Bram.
but
Bring them on. I love
it's
it.
just medicine, and you're just trying to, provide this information. So instead of, individuals getting upset, I would just be thankful because the information that you're providing is going to keep someone from experiencing something horrible, a disastrous situation. And, obviously I know, Anthony's going to have you dive a little bit more into like the capacities and, the operations and what can we expect from, an installation crew. But I just appreciate you providing this insight and information.